Independent grind, powered by Tech Nine.
On the line right now and fresh off the South of 5th tour is Phil Mauro. How are you doing today, man?
Yeah. What up, beautiful people? Hey, I'm great, man. How are you doing?
Good. Yeah, we just mentioned the South of 5th tour. Obviously, it was out with Mayday. Tell us a little bit about that experience, what the tour was like for you guys.
Oh man, South of 5th tour was a blast, man. Lucky enough to have been knowing these Mayday guys for a while now, and randomly had a friend link up with them at their release party at Strange Music Hollywood. And they said, hey, we just had our last opener drop off the tour. What are y'all doing for the next 2 months? Was able to just skate on in there in a last-minute type situation and hit the road, man. But it was a great run, great tour. Happy to see, Mayday's following, building and growing across the nation. It was super dope. Great vibes, man. Shout out to Mayday for taking me out there and putting me on the road, man.
That's pretty crazy. You just kind of picked up and went. What was? How did you how'd you prepare it all? Or what was that like to literally? It was like just all of a sudden go on the road for 2 months. Must have been kind of nuts.
Yeah, it was absolutely nuts. I got a text message at 3 a.m. from my homeboy that was out there in LA at the release party. Said, hey, you're going on tour with Mayday. I'll call you in the morning. This was 6 days 6 days before it started. So we had a massive scramble, but we were able to pick up. We only missed the first two shows, I guess. So the Miami show, and then I think there was another one in Florida. But we picked up in Fort Worth, Texas. Just a few days later, flew into Texas. And rocked with them another, I think it was 39 shows altogether that we were able to do with them. So, but yeah, it was crazy, man. Packed up a car full of merch and microphones, whatever else we had, and off we went, man. But great experience, man. The fans out there were showing a whole lot of love, and it was great to see the country and do it for real.
I feel like most of the time texts you get at 3 a.m. are not that good.
No, not at all. Absolutely. One of the more coherent texts I've ever got.
Everything was spelled right, and I was amazed. But yeah, you talk what was that grind like? Because 2 months is not, a lot of people do small runs and stuff, but I know Mayday are sort of road warriors. What was that? Yeah. What was that grind like? And what were some of the I guess I know we saw you in Kansas City or in Lawrence. And you just gotten off a ridiculous drive. What were those long nights like?
Yeah, man. Doing everything independently, handling every avenue yourself is definitely a real tough work. But luckily I was out there with some road vets. But yeah, having to set up, perform, tear down, party, meet fans. Get out of there. Sleep enough to jump in the truck and roll out another couple hundred miles to the next town was definitely interesting. When we caught up in Lawrence, Kansas, we had just come off a 2-day hellish drive from Whitefish, Montana was the last show. It was a dope ass show up in Montana, but this is the most northwestern corner of Montana that you could possibly find yourself in. So I think it was just short of 1,700 miles to smash out there to Lawrence, and that was grueling, man. I was out there looking at Montana, in these valleys and stuff. If I was Lewis and Clark, I would have just turned around. But it was good, man. The grind is definitely real, but a hell of an experience, man. The rewards were well worth it.
Mm-hmm. What'd you do to keep your sanity? Was it just listening to music? I don't know, bullshitting in the van. How'd you manage to not go crazy?
Yeah, tons of music, whatever I could get in my ears. Lots of podcasts, man. Podcasts are good, especially when you're the driver. You can just throw on a couple hours worth of something and try to forget that you still got a couple hours left. Mm-hmm. I tried to incorporate wherever we were in the country too, as to what I was listening to. So we pulled up into Atlanta. I was definitely bumping some T.I. We were rolling out through, California. I'm definitely bumping all West Coast stuff. So mm-hmm. it was cool, man. I tried to take myself on a musical journey, keep myself interested at least while we were trucking through these miles.
Dope. Did you find anything new, any new artists or anything you picked up?
Anything new? I'm trying to think, man. Nothing crazy, man. nothing off top that I can remember at this point.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And you mentioned it. You mentioned partying. I know Mayday guys throw down. What was there? Did you have any wild nights that you can speak about? I know some things have to remain. What happens on tour remains on tour. But were there any like specific
Absolutely.
parties or nights that you guys like had that were especially crazy?
You know what? I'll tell you, just overall, man, the smaller cities and some of the smaller shows were some of the more wild party nights.
Mm-hmm.
Major cities were cool, New York, Atlanta, all that was dope, man. We had a good time, but I'm telling you, like Idaho was a turn up. Montana was a turn up, so some long and crazy nights out there, but yeah, rolling with Mayday, they are road veterans out there, man. They were able to show me the ropes, but I don't know exactly what I can talk about. Let's just say that we had a great time, and it was a hell of a party.
Yeah, Idaho's like crazy. I actually went on a road trip across country, and we had like some gap time. I was like, let's just go to like somewhere in Idaho. We went to Boise, and it was like insane. It was in the middle of the summer, and it was still like crazy as shit. So I do feel like that like small town, they know how to fucking throw down, especially with Mayday on board. I feel like everyone listens to Mayday throws down.
Yeah. I mean, exactly. The Mayday fans definitely know how to party, man. And yeah, I think we played like a Monday or Tuesday night right outside of Twin Falls in Idaho, and it was fucking lit, man. We had a blast. Everybody came out. It was a great party, man. Mm-hmm. So,
and yeah, I know they were
Mayday parties are real.
Yeah, and I know they were touring south of Fifth, and like it's obviously like a reggae album. And I'm curious if that like changed your music at all, or like changed what you brought on the road with you at all, or like were you sort of keep your own sets similar to how it was?
Yeah, no, definitely. It was interesting. So out of the 39 shows, I think we played 6 different revisions of the set that we started off the tour with in Texas. Mm-hmm. So I was able to kind of get a better feel for what these crowds were like, and what they were responding to. The new reggae vibes, definitely. I feel like anything that you hear is like gay or like islandish or anything on that new Mayday record is real, like true to their roots. When I went out there and spent a week in their studio out in Miami, what was hearing on the South of Fifth album was exactly what I expected to hear out of that kind of like culture and environment. So, but for us, yeah, we switched up the set a few times. I definitely wanted to stay true to what I do. I'm a little bit, heavier rock and roll, almost like metalish kind of style, rap rock in what I do personally, but I definitely was able to watch and learn every single night from my brothers, you know what I mean, and pick up some stuff along the way. So we incorporated some of the songs, and actually the songs that we changed out and flipped out in the middle of the set ended up being some of our best. So it was dope. Yeah,
and I know you just mentioned it going down to work with them. I was going to ask because they're on. You have the new EP Toxic Space out, and Burns is on there twice, Rex on there twice. Like you worked obviously heavy with them. Did you get all those tracks when you were down with them in Miami?
Yeah. So the record Toxic Space is actually a little bit older. This is kind of like how I built my working relationship with Mayday. I was doing like a local opener slot on a weekend with Stone out here in Colorado, and one of his people, heard my set, was like, "Yo, you should go work with Mayday." I flew out there and was able to link up with them and spend a week in their studio. So they produced all 5 songs, pretty much from scratch. We spent a week in the studio, was recording everything, and I got to kind of watch their workflow and then have them help build me a dope EP. So everything was written and recorded there in Miami at their studio. It was a really dope experience.
Dope. And you mentioned, I'm curious how you sort of got into music and found your way to the hip hop lane, because it definitely has that influence, like as you said, like the rock sort of like metal influence. So I guess initially how'd you get into music?
Yeah, absolutely. I've been playing music since I was a kid. Never really, took off anywhere with like piano or guitar, but I played in a couple of cover bands when we were younger, early teens and stuff like that. Harder to keep, 4 or 5 people, especially in that age range, you know what I mean, together and practicing and all that. So, but yeah, I fell in love with hip hop, super young. I think I was the only kid in 5th grade, you know what I mean, that had, like the Offspring album and, Tupacalypse, so, I've been rapping for a long time. So since like high school. I never really took it seriously until about 2009. I recorded my first project and put it out there and tried to do some shows and touring and stuff like that. We started picking up. I used to rap under the name Rabid, RABID, since high school till I got sued for that name in 2014. So,
oh shit.
A band out of Nashville has owned that trademark to all audio recordings since like '98. Now, they hadn't made any music in a long time, but they were making a comeback album, and first things first was sending me a cease and desist letter and kicking all of my music off of any paid site. So all that, Apple Music, Spotify, anywhere that I was actually getting paid for that music had to come down, and that is why I've just gone to making rap music under my government name at this point in time, right? That's why I switched it over to Phil Mauro, and that's we can just rock with that and not worry about the legal aspects of shit. So.
Yeah, I'd say so. Well, fuck, that's like, can you walk us through that? Because I feel like sort of a lot of independent artists maybe in like kind of the same boat where you do something you're not really sure, and then all of a sudden you get hit with this. What was that experience like?
Word to the wise, anybody that's rapping and coming up, man. Anything that you want to make your brand, make sure that your trademark is nice and clear, and hire a lawyer. Don't trust yourself to look it all over. It's probably best to do that. So, in this case, there was a band with the same name, same 5 letters, right? When they had contacted me and sent me the cease and desist letter, their reasoning for it was likelihood for confusion in commerce. So the likelihood that somebody else would pick up my dirty rap music, thinking that it was their alternative rock music, was not acceptable for them, and that's how that all came down. But so they sent me a cease and desist letter in the very end of 2013. I picked up 2 lawyers and tried to maneuver my way around it a few different times, man. But they still denied every attempt that I made, and so I had to kind of just wrap it up and take my whole catalog down off of anything. You can still find everything on YouTube and SoundCloud, any of the free sites. But yeah, it was a tough experience, man. Especially, we had just caught a little bit of buzz. Everything was going good. And I had to put the brakes on it. So, yeah, man. But we, it was cool. It also opened up a couple of doors for me, like at least personally. I didn't feel like I had to make underground rap music only, or like stick to whatever fan base I had acquired at that point in time. Kind of, opened up a few other avenues and lanes for me. Let me make whatever kind of music that I want. So, I like rock, I like hip hop, I like pop, I like everything, man. I like music altogether, man. And so you'll hear a bunch of different influences in all the different music that I make.
Yeah, I was going to ask sort of, I feel like also like, it's almost like it sounds kind of corny, but like there's a silver lining or whatever. So was that it, is just being able to sort of like expand and grow? And how do you feel now kind of looking back on that situation?
Yeah, absolutely. I was devastated when I got that cease and desist letter, right? Like I was like, oh shit, I got to wrap it all up. Like it's all over. But it was probably, one of the more freeing experiences in the end. Right. So, gotta put trust in the situation and just let that be. But definitely, put me in a position where I had to take a step back to, take a look at my entire situation, what I had been up to and where I was going, and kind of evaluate that whole path all over again. Definitely the motive has never changed, man. My goal is just to make as much music as possible and spread it and share it with people, man. That part of the experience of being a musician is what it's all about for me. So, but to have to sit back, go back to the drawing board and rescape everything all over again was tough, man. But it was probably the best thing that ever happened to me, man. I feel more.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I feel more versatile. Like I feel like the acceptance across the board, like no matter what kind of genre or style of music that I do, as long as my heart is in it, the message can be received. So it was a good lesson for me to learn as well.
Right. Yeah. It definitely feels like now that you've almost been forced to open up and like try different things, is now you're like more comfortable doing it and you're not stuck in this way. So like, I guess with that in mind, like what are you working on now? What's something you're experimenting with now musically? What you got cooking?
Yeah, absolutely. So me and my homeboy, Frankie, he's been like my right-hand man in music since, 2010, man. We came up working at a recording studio together in Denver, and we've been making music ever since. So, he and I have actually been back in the studio the 3 months prior to jumping on this tour, we were back in the studio and recording pretty heavy. I was just kind of thumbing through that catalog right when I got back home. I got so much different kind of style music on there, man. It'd be interesting to see what kind of comes out next. I'll probably be dropping a few singles, like a few kind of one-off songs, and trying some new stuff, taking a couple of different stabs at some different styles of music. But man, there's everything on there. We had a run where we made a bunch of kind of like punk rockish, real classic, like early 2000s punk rock style kind of music. I just put a song out there a few weeks ago called "See You Naked Again." That's definitely on that kind of vibe. I got some wild stuff out there, man. We did some tracks that sounded more like some Boys to Men tracks. Like I don't even know, man. I gotta kind of narrow it down and see what else is gonna come out. But 2019, expect to see a whole lot of music coming from me, all sorts of different styles.
Awesome, man. Well, what about shows? I know you're probably like sick of being on the road, but are you hitting the road again anytime soon, or what are your plans for touring?
Yeah, no, as tough it is being out here on the road, it's absolutely addicting, and I can't wait to get back out there. So I'm working on a few things right now. I don't want to jinx anything, man, but sooner than later you'll see me back out there on the road. I got a few things coming down the pipeline in the mix, so as soon as I secure something, I'll be back out there. But probably, by February, I'll be back out there on the road doing another national run. So.
Awesome, man. Well, before we let you go, we got 3 random questions for you. The first is you're going to a gas station. What are you picking up?
Ooh, all right. Daytime gas station trip. It's going to be like a water, something with a ridiculous amount of caffeine, probably Red Bull, and probably some chips. But on the nighttime run, you already know it's going to be some grandma's cookies and probably some Bugles, depending on how stoned I am. Yeah.
What about, okay, I know this one might be hard for you because you have this like such a diverse background, but what is your desert island album? The one, if you were stuck on a desert island, you have one album.
Damn. Ooh. That's a great question. I'm going with we'll stick with Killer, man. 2 discs, and it'll let me play out that time on the island pretty well. Take me through a bunch of shit.
I've never thought of the 2-disc theory to it. That's a good way to answer it. Just pick a really long album.
Yeah, man, exactly. You gotta have some diverse shit to choose from, but yeah, that'll take me there.
Awesome. And then last one, it's sort of like a 2-parter, but person you would most like to be trapped on an elevator with, and the person you would least like to be trapped on an elevator with.
Oh, damn, that's a good question, bro. Person I'd like to be trapped on an elevator with, man. Let's just Quincy Jones would probably be one of those people I would like to be trapped on an elevator with. I feel like I could do a bunch of learning in that period of time there. Pick up some game. Somebody I would not want to be stuck on an elevator with. Fran Drescher.
That would be fair. Yeah, I thought the same thing as when I was thinking this. I was like, I thought it like Gilbert Gottfried just because the annoying laugh. Like anybody with an annoying laugh, I don't think I'd be trapped on an elevator with.
Yeah, exactly. I think that would be pretty rough to listen to that laugh to be stuck in there. So yeah. I'm gonna go with that one.
Dope, man. Well, thanks for joining us. Congrats on the South of 5th tour, and we're looking forward to what you got cooking up for the start of 2019.
Hey, my brother, thank you so much for the opportunity, man. Happy to talk with you guys. We'll see you more here coming up in the following year, man.
Absolutely. Sounds good. See you, man.
You're locked in to Independent Grind on Dash Radio. Tune in Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 12 p.m. Eastern for the latest hip-hop news, music, and interviews. Independent Grind only on Dash Radio, baby. Tech 9!
This is the genius, Chris Calico.
Cali, baby.
Letting you know you're tuned into Tech Nine's Independent Grind on Dash Radio.